Cephahide,
I have with me David Pakman. He is a progressive host and executive producer of the nationally syndicated radio and TV program, The David Pakman Show. And I wanted to talk to David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. So beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. So beta male.
Can you remind the audience, when you talk about being a beta male and being an alpha male, what are we talking about here?
There are males, most men today, male, they think and act like a woman. They're emotional, they are mentally off, they have no logic. And that's a beta male. They go along with homosexuality.
Whoa, Jesse, we gotta go. That's a lot. That's a lot.
They agree with everything that's wrong. Abortion, they think and act just like a woman. A beta male does. But a non-beta male doesn't, because he's a logical thinker. And they're controlled by the darkness of David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Patman. 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 He is a beta male. David, you're not here to communicate. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to let you go. It's a waste of time to talk to you. We're not communicating. You're acting like an idiot.
Because you're asking bizarre questions.
You're acting like an idiot and you're wasting my time. I appreciate you coming. All right, thank you for coming. Goodbye. Goodbye. Let him know. That's a progressive vote. All men who are progressive, all males who are progressive, are weak people. They are weak people, and once having people on, it doesn't even make sense.
If there is anything that needs to be satirized and remixed, it is Trump talking about massive dumps. And by the way, extra points, if you can sample Trump saying massive dumps and me talking about it in a song, please do it.
Dumps. Big massive dumps. Dumps. Big massive dumps. Dumps.
By the way, how are the calzones?
Dumps. 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 Dump. Big massive dumps. 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 Sure you just dumps. Dumps. Dump. Big massive dumps.
Donald Trump insisted multiple times that it was massive dumps that led him to lose the election, which is just
on another level, on another level.
Dumps. 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 Sure you just dumps. Dumps. Dump. Big massive dumps. 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 Sure you just dumps. Dump. Big massive dump.
You turn the faucet on in areas where there's tremendous amounts of water, where the water rushes out to sea, because you could have people are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once.
Dumps. Dumps. Sure you just dumps. Dump. Big massive dumps. 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 Dumps.
what is going on here? What is going on here? It's just beyond parody. I mean, massive dumps cost them the election. What is going on here? What is going on here?
Please proceed, Governor.
It's just beyond parody. I mean, massive dumps cost them the election. What is going on here? What is
Dumps.
massive dumps that
Dumps.
Toilets 10 times.
Dumps.
multiple times. Massive dumps.
Dump. Big massive dumps.
What is going on here? What is going on here?
Dump. Big massive dumps.
It's All right, welcome everybody. We have a packed stream today. I will later be joined by Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II. We are going to try to clear the air, I guess, for lack of a better term. We are also going to be speaking to Ian Vaush a little bit later. I actually don't remember what we're talking about. We've been trying to set up a stream for a little while, and what is the topic? I actually don't remember, but we'll be speaking to Ian Vaush a little bit later. So it's going to be it's stuffed. The stream is stuffed full of stuff. And it's great to have everybody here. Hope everybody's Thanksgiving was good yesterday to the extent that you celebrated, I think, for lack of a better term. And that's what's happening. So on the agenda, I am going to be talking about the stock market dip today, nearly 4% decline in one day, the Russell 2000 index on a shortened trading day related to the new COVID variant. A lot of people panicking. I think it's called a variant of concern, not a variant of panic. And we'll talk about why we should be concerned, but not yet panicked. We're also going to be looking at the new Lauren Bobo Boebert video, very xenophobic aspects to that. I also had people ask me to recommend espresso machines. It might have been a joke, but I'm going to do it. And I've been asked, am I ready to totally denounce Tesla? So we're going to talk a little bit about electric cars. We'll have some of your voicemails. We will have super chats, and we will speak to Stephen, Kenneth, Destiny, Benell the second, and also Ian Vaush a little bit later. So all of that is happening. It's is it Freaky Friday? I don't know. That's not a term I use, but it is Friday. It is Friday. Will I talk about crypto today? Probably not. I don't really have anything else to say about crypto today, unless people want me to say something specific about it. I don't know. Okay, let me thank people. Yes, we are unbanned from Twitch. I don't know why. We just are. We were banned for 30 days, but then after 11, they let us back on. I want to say thank you to Savvy Lemons, Duck Company, Heldardo, Beef Stews, D-Loms, and Robot Mugabe, putting us at 6. We do have a code for today. The code is OBAMNA. OBAMNA. You can see it right over my head, and it saves you 68% at joinpacman.com. Super chats, the only one so far is from Jessica. I know it's not even on the screen yet. The question is, who is the guy that created and is shown in your opening Big Massive Dumps remix? That is Office Akimov. I mislabeled him as Officer Akimov some period of time ago, but it is actually Office Akimov. He also did the, I don't even know if I have it here. Oh, he did this remix as well.
Moment of the sexual experience will ask the young lady, who's your daddy?
This should be remixed. If Officer Akimov is watching, this could... And it was not Officer Akimov. It's I think Officer Akimov does sound better, to be totally frank with you guys, but he goes by Office Akimov. All right, so let's just get right into it because see, this is an annoying. Somebody said no one cares who it is. That's literally wrong. Someone just asked who it is. So by definition, someone cares who it is. Really weird. I guess it's cool to say no one cares, but all right, very good. Let's continue. All right, so massive stock market decline today. Worst day of 2021. S&P 500 down 2.27%. Dow down 2.53%. NASDAQ, or NASDAQ, as the former president used to call it, down 2.23%. And the widest index of these four, the Russell 2000, down a brutal 3.67%. Why? Well, because of the new COVID variant. U.S. announces travel restrictions over new COVID variant. WHO designates new coronavirus variant of concern, naming it Omicron. Okay. The World Health Organization will label the new variant as a variant of concern. There was a meeting, a technical working group, et cetera, et cetera. It's a variant of concern. Statement released by the WHO. The new strain will be given the name Omicron based on the evidence presented indicative of a detrimental change in COVID epidemiology. The TAG-V has advised WHO that this variant should be designated VOC, and the WHO has designated it B11529 as Omicron. Variant first discovered by South African health authorities. So here's the thing. There was so much, I don't want to call it misinformation or disinformation in the chat before we started. There were just a lot of assertions being made for which we don't yet have evidence. So for example, people in the chat before we started were saying, the vaccines don't work, or it's deadlier, or whatever. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. Now, for people saying, oh, when will the variants stop? The variants never stop. The evolution of the virus and the mutation continues. The question is, does it do any of the things some people are saying it does? And we're going to look at what we know so far. Now, is it possible that this new variant is far more deadly? It's possible. Is it possible that this new variant evades the vaccines? It's possible. Do we know that yet? No, we don't. No, we don't. So let's get into some of this data. Andy Slavitt, COVID update. See, this we have to be more sober about this. COVID update. A new variant in Southern Africa has emerged and is grabbing local concern. What do we know and should we be worried? Good. In situations like this, it's useful to separate into what is known with good certainty, what is unknown, and what is being speculated. Then I will address the what if question. Okay, we're going to go through it piece by piece. Known. B11529, which we now know of as Omicron, originated in South Africa and Botswana, and cases have been recorded among travelers in Belgium, Hong Kong, and Israel. What we know so far doesn't paint a full picture. The variant has a lot of mutations, over 50. The ACE2 receptor, which allows the virus to bind to our cells, has over 10 mutations. There is a lot more that we don't know. While there are still a limited number of cases, that mutation profile has scientists concerned that possibly neither prior immunity nor vaccine will be effective or as effective at preventing spread and infection. So remember, this is what you have to look at the language. Scientists are concerned, possibly not effective or not as effective, right? So if everybody's saying vaccines don't work, it's too early to say that. Some of the characteristics of the variant are reminiscent of Beta and Lambda, two variants that became concerning, but ultimately haven't been able to compete with Delta. There was panic around those. It will take 2 weeks or so to test in a lab, 2 weeks, whether the mRNA vaccines are effective, and if so, how effective they are. We do not know it yet. When people say, hey, 2 people in South Africa who got this were vaccinated, that is not a scientifically and empirically robust data point. It will take 2 weeks to test in a lab whether the vaccines are effective. In the meantime, there will be speculation, and that's what we're seeing. It is reported many of the cases were among younger people in South Africa who are largely unvaccinated. Does it mean something? Maybe. South Africa has one of the most sophisticated detection systems. Many scientists have pointed to lower vaccination levels and an abundance of immunocompromised people as a breeding ground for new variants. This also leads to speculation that there is more spread than discovered. Currency, stock, bond, and oil traders began the day in near panic. Airline stocks down, Netflix up. People who get paid to speculate will speculate. For the rest of us, there's no sport in it. Read what is actually being said here. The unanswered questions are important ones. Even if a variant creates more difficulty for the immune system, its rate of spread is important. If it doesn't outcompete Delta, it will likely be more limited in its reach as long as Delta continues to spread. We've all gotten nervous enough, it's worth answering the question, but what if it does evade prior immunity and outcompete Delta? It's foolhardy to predict the future, but smart to prepare, and we've been preparing. The mRNA vaccines are built on a platform which allow for very rapid development of new vaccines if that should happen. Both Pfizer and Moderna estimate 100 days to do a vaccine for a new variant. Could take long. Manufacturing approval and distribution take time, but we're getting more efficient. If we start in early December, new vaccines would be available by the summer in much of the world. This explains Europe, already dealing with waves and worries over variants, decided to shut down travel from South Africa until more is learned. Banning travel hasn't seemed to be anything close to a panacea. Right, it's already in Israel, Hong Kong, Belgium at minimum. It punishes countries and their economies and who make and report discoveries. We, the G20, couldn't vaccinate Africa fast enough despite abundant vaccines, and so now we will increase the cost to them of our failure. Let me see if there's anything else relevant here. This is the gist of it, okay? But the panic is happening. Dow tumbles 900 points for worst day of year on fears of new COVID variant. So am I doing anything as far as stocks go? If anybody who knows me knows I am not. I'm just going to keep buying more. I'm in it for the long haul. I will just continue to buy. Not making any moves as far as that goes. Crypto dropped today 8%. Not doing anything. Just gonna keep going, holding the line. What else did I have on this? Oh, okay. John Byrne Murdoch from the Financial Times. 5 quick tweets on the new variant. Caveat first, data here is very preliminary. Based on data we have, this variant is outcompeting others faster than Beta and Delta did. That's the assertion that's being made. This is how quickly this variant spread in South Africa. South Africa has a very particular situation, low level of young people being vaccinated, in addition to significant sequencing and testing. I don't know that we can say too much from that yet. And remember, this is the share of cases that are this variant. This is not absolute cases. Very important to understand. 2, this is coinciding with a wider rise in cases in South Africa. So here's what we're talking about so far, okay? So might it be time to panic? Maybe. Do we know that? No, we don't know that. We don't know that. The other reason for concern is that the mutations are known to be associated with greater transmissibility and immune evasion. We do not know that yet. And then here are the caveats. This variant wasn't known about last week. It's early. Case rates were very low when it emerged. Urgent search for more data means some growth could be due to targeted testing and sequencing. There is cause for concern. It is a variant of concern, not a variant of panic. Update here on the Merck pill for people waiting for that. It does not appear to be 50% effective at reducing severe infection, but rather 30%. So when we had that early data on the pill, the COVID pill, and we said, well, 50% is great, but that's early, it looks like it's more like 30. So that is a tool that will be available, but it is not going to be as great of a tool. And what else did I have on that? I think that's really it. Again, the point here is there is a lot that we just don't know yet. I've also been asked about this new video from Dr. John Campbell, not a medical doctor. If we're going to say that about everybody, we've got to actually be clear. Dr. John Campbell, not a medical doctor, has a new video about ivermectin. And many of you have written to me and you said, something smells funky about that video. Let me see if I can even find it. Ivermectin in Japan. This is the video, okay? And it's called Ivermectin in Japan, has nearly 1 million views. And many of you wrote to me and said, David, you know, you've really got to look closely at this video. It seems as though not all is honest about this video. And here's the thing. I'm looking at doing a point by point on this video, but if I do it, I want to make sure I do it right. And there's a lot here, but as some examples, let me pull up my, let me even pull up my notes. Because there's a lot here. In fact, I don't even know that I should do this yet. I should probably be better prepared. But, you know, in this video, Dr. John Campbell, not a medical doctor, appears to lay out the case that it may well be ivermectin that's responsible for the low cases in Japan, when there's so many different things that were going on at exactly this time. Number one, massive amounts of testing because of the Olympics, an extremely strict lockdown, and on and on and on. And he's sort of low-key suggesting it may be ivermectin. It may be ivermectin that is responsible for this. I don't believe we know that at all to be the case. And the concern, of course, is there are a lot of people who want ivermectin to be the solution. And I would love ivermectin to be the solution. I would love it. You know, I have absolutely no ideological attachment for or against any particular medicine. It would be great if ivermectin were the solution. This video did not convince me. And in any case, I don't know. It's we may look at that more closely. We may not. I'm just not sure at this point, but we're considering it. Okay. Let me say thank you to nobody. Oh my God, I have nobody to thank. Okay, let me look at a few super chats and then we're going to move on to a few other things here. Remember when Trump tweeted Cobfefi in 2017 and then COVID was discovered 2 years later? I'm not saying Trump is behind COVID. I'm just asking questions here. Okay. It's true what they say. Women are from Omicron per se 7. Men are from Omicron per se 9. Right. Omicron per se 8. Given variants will emerge, is it safer for the U.S. to spend more to try to change the minds of non-vaccinated or send vaccines to poor countries? We have enough vaccines to do both. We have enough vaccines and money to do both. La Pavoni Euro Piccola and Rancilio Rocky, great combo for under $1,000 USD. Wow. I am no one, I care. New variant was detected in low vaccine areas. I watched 12 Angry Men after the Rittenhouse trial. Really makes you think about the backgrounds of jurors deciding someone's fate. Very much so. Do you play Among Us? It's a very sussy game. I have never played it. However, I was invited by the great Anna Rudolph to participate in some kind of Squid Game related thing at some point. I said I would love to do it, but I just, we got to find a time to do it. I want to say thanks to Napa Skipdog for the Twitch Prime subscription. You're number 7 today. Also thanks to Kismar for donating 5 subs today. And you can use the coupon code OBAMNA to get a heavily discounted membership on my website.
Obama.
The website is joinpacman.com, and I would love for you to sign up. I will thank you, and it will be an incredible thing. All right, let's get into some other things. Now, I know there are some people in the audience who don't care about these upcoming things, but I've been asked to cover them, so I'm going to cover them anyway. The first one is, David, can you recommend espresso machines? I am only a very casual espresso enthusiast, so I am not claiming to be giving anything other than my mildly informed opinion. Now, if you're looking for a $200 espresso machine, I don't know what to recommend. I would maybe check out like James Hoffman, I think his name is, or something like that. He has a great coffee-related channel. I can only talk to you about machines I'm familiar with. Now, if you were looking for something, if you're, let me put it this way. If you're ready to move beyond entry level and you want something you don't have to think too much about, that'll last you a long time with a built-in grinder, there is no better recommendation than the Breville Barista Express. Now, here it says that it's a $700 machine. That may be the case now. I've had one for 6 years now, and when I got it, it was $579. I am glad to be talked out of this, but I can't think of, at this price point, a better machine as long as you take care of it, okay? And that means you've got to do the descaling, you've got to do the back flushing, you've got to do all those different things. Now, there are people in the chat who will say built-in grinder is a disaster. I understand. This is a good enough grinder, and you get your money back. I mean, think about this. I've had one of these for 6 years. If you make, let me see if I can do some math on this. 6 years. Let's assume I'm making, let's call it 8 drinks a week times, I mean, let's take some time away. Let's assume it's only even 44 weeks a year times 6 years. That's over 2,000 drinks. Your average cappuccino, call it $4.50 at a nice cafe. You know, that's nearly 10 grand. And, you know, the cost of milk and beans when you're using a system like this is very, very minor. So, you know, if you use it, it's absolutely worth it. So this would be my recommendation if you're like, okay, I'm ready to go beyond like a $200 thing. All right, fair. Now, if you're looking to go to the next level, I've looked at a lot of different machines, And this is now now remember, yeah, 8 drinks a week isn't a lot. There's people who are having, 14, 21, 28, right? It's crazy. Anyway, if you're looking to go to the next level, and I'm not even going to get into like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 machines, but just like the next level, I'm partial to the Rocket Apartamento. I think it's a delightful machine. Now here, you no longer have a built-in grinder. You're talking about a lot more stuff. I think this thing is like $1,800, but in looking at a lot of different reviews, I think that this is a really, really great machine. I do think you're supposed to have that look on your face when you use it, but that is sort of up to you guys. But yeah, this would be my next thing. Like if I was in the $1,500 to $2,000 level, this is what I would be looking at right here. And of course, none of these are like fully automatic or anything like that. If you're looking for that, you got to, I don't know anything about that. You got to look at a different category. All right. So we are done with the espresso stuff. Now, next topic that people ask me to address. Am I ready to say it's time to abandon Tesla? Is it time to abandon Tesla? Now, many of you know I've been a shareholder since 2015. I did panic sell half when Elon Musk said really crazy things on the Joe Rogan program, and I believe it was 2018, 2017, something like that. And I sold half, and then it's just gone up, up, up. And many of you know that I also drive one of these vehicles. Here's my thought at this point on Tesla, and I am making no analysis of the stock at all. This is an analysis of the product. I said from the very beginning, Tesla's advantage is not that they make the best cars in terms of build quality and feel. Tesla's advantage is a first mover advantage. They were the first to have cars, electric cars with this range. Okay? However, there are other companies out there that know how to make cars much better than Tesla. Making cars is tough. And my belief years ago was at a certain point, these other companies are going to catch up to Tesla. And the quality is better. What cars am I talking about? Really, when you're talking about electric sedans that compete with the Model S, I'm talking about 3 different vehicles, all which I believe are higher quality than Tesla. The 3 cars are the Audi e-tron GT. Okay? If you look at the quality of this vehicle, the wind noise, the everything, the doors, the buttons, everything. This is a better quality vehicle. Is it as fast as the Model S? Probably not. I think the Model S is, the fastest. 3.1, right? The Model S, I think, is 1.9, the Plaid or something like that. But the quality of this car is dramatically better. And now Tesla's going to have to fight companies. They don't have the range yet, but they know how to make cars far, far better. This is a better car in my mind. Quality. It's very, very tough to beat this. Okay. Next vehicle. Porsche Taycan. Okay? This is a better car. They make better cars. They don't have the range yet, right? 225 miles or 282 with the Performance Battery Plus. Okay, this is a better car. Is it as fast? No. Let's see. This is 4.8 seconds. This is 3.8, 3.9. The GTS is 3.5. The turbo is 3. 3.1. The Turbo S is 2.6. Okay, so the Model S Plaid is 1.990 to 60, but who cares? This is a much higher quality vehicle. And then lastly, maybe the best of these, I don't know, is the Mercedes EQS 580 4MATIC sedan. Of these 3, probably the best quality out of all of them. When it comes to build quality and just the feel of the entire vehicle. So is it time to abandon Tesla? I have no idea. But what I can tell you is all along Tesla's advantage has been a first mover and having the range. What's the range on this thing? I don't even know. Yeah, I'm not even sure where did it even say? I'm not sure. Oh, electric range. Here it is. Oh, to be announced. Okay, so we don't even know yet. So, yeah, I think that if you don't care about the automated driving, which I can tell you is okay, but it's I don't know. I think that these three vehicles are better quality vehicles than the Model S, and I do expect that over time they're gonna build market share. I think that's basically it. Okay, that's the full story. I want to say thanks to Jen here for gifting and resubbing, as well as twitching mangoes for the 3 Twitch subs. Very much appreciate that. Also want to say thanks to Aaron Kunde, who just signed up on my website with the coupon code OBAMNA. And his new member number 16. Okay, super chat's coming in. Compare the Model 3 and Y to things like the Bolt and Leaf. No, I'm comparing the S. So we were looking at the S compared to these 3 vehicles. And I think that the other 3 are probably better. David, the EV powertrain matters most. Legacy autos fall far short. Yeah, so listen, here's the thing. All of these cars, if you look at where do I charge these cars? The answers are still not very convenient. Right now, what is keeping Tesla's advantage, in addition to having the biggest range, is the supercharger network. With these things, maybe you can find, like 110 kilowatt or whatever charger, but you're still talking about a charge time that doesn't make sense if you're going to be driving anything other than around town. So that there's no doubt that Tesla still has an advantage there. Guys, I have no loyalty. I'm just telling you like it is. It's funny. There's people saying, David, you're being too loyal to Tesla, and people saying, David, you're not giving Tesla enough credit. I'm just telling it like it is, guys. That's all I'm doing. Okay. Everybody relax. Everybody relax. Other super chats coming in. Sir, I agree on the Breville great machine. There's a cheaper version without the grinder. Right. David, people tell me, sir, if we can just cut 11,780 Twitch subs, the Pacman show may be the most sub channel. That's what they tell me. I've read the same. Getting Pfizer booster today, even though we're still learning about the variant. Oh, yeah. There's no reason not to get it at this point. Very, very important message. Okay, good. So we got that out of the way. And let me see if we're ready for the first conversation. All right. We are going to be speaking with Destiny and Vaush today, but separately. All right. Let me get to a couple of other different things. We did want to go over this new Lauren Bobo Bobert thing. She gave, I don't know if it was a speech or stand-up comedy somewhere over the weekend. It was all really weird. And she said some horrible things. Take a look at this.
Actually, I have an Ilhan story for you. So,
Oh, man. Let's hear it.
so the other night on the House floor was not my first Jihad Squad moment. So I was getting into an elevator with one of my staffers. And he and we're leaving the Capitol. We're going back to my office. And we get in the elevator. And I see a Capitol police officer running hurriedly to the elevator. I see fret all over his face, and he's reaching, and I'm like, "What? I can't. The door's shutting. Like I can't open it. Like what's happening?" I look to my left, and there she is, Ilhan Omar. Whoops. And I said, "Well, she doesn't have a backpack. We should be fine."
So that's a suicide bomb joke, I guess. Not particularly funny, but I guess it counts as comedy in her world.
So we only had one floor to go, and I was like, should I say it or not? I looked over, and I said, "Oh, look, the Jihad Squad decided to show up for work today." Don't worry, it's just her staffers on Twitter that talk for her. She's not tough in person. She doesn't, yes. So...
Okay. I guess there were other things she said also that were tweeted about. I think Patriot Takes had them. Let me see here. Yeah, here's some other moments from this thing.
Because of this piece of crap in the White House.
Okay.
And he says, "Lauren, what can I do for you?" I said, Mr. President, I'm really glad you asked. I would love if you came to my district in the spring.
That's what we might be looking forward to. Trump campaigning with Lauren Boebert in the spring.
Of course I'll come to your district. What else? So, we are working on getting President Trump to our district in the spring. And we want this to be the biggest rally that he has ever had in Colorado.
That'll be exciting.
Later that night when I was with President Trump, we had a room of about 600 people. And he started talking about this failed regime, this illegal failed regime. And I got a little chant going. The whole room. Let's go, Brandon! Woo! Let's go, Brandon!
Oof, I'm like getting goosebumps from the cringe.
Let's go, Brandon! So President Trump waits until this is over, and he looks around and he says, you know, I like the first version better.
What a funny guy, huh?
And I was proud. It's my first duty in Congress to object to the certification of those electoral college results because they were fraudulent.
Okay.
I asked him, what else can we be doing? He said, everything you're doing. What you're doing is exactly what you need to be doing. Objecting on January 6th was absolutely the role of Congress. Those states that illegally mailed out millions of ballots, changed election laws outside of the state legislature.
Which is totally legal. We've already talked about it.
That was unconstitutional and illegal. And now, because Congress didn't have enough guts to actually do their job correctly, now we're chasing 10,000 ballots here and 20,000 ballots there.
No, we're not. The election's over.
And the last time I was with President Trump, well, I did have a fancy little red dress to show off. I was sitting in his office in Florida, the new White House.
Yeah. The real White
House. Yeah. That's where everybody seems to be. I don't know.
Wow. It's really, really insane. I mean, it's crazy. They're not gonna. How long will they go? I guess until the next election. I don't know. Okay, let's get to. All right, let's get to the first of two conversations. We're gonna first talk to Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II. We are gonna try to clear the air. Okay, guys, let's see if we can do that. I'm gonna try calling him right now and see what we've got going on. Guys, I think this is working. Stephen?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. David Deepak Packman. How are you doing?
Let me introduce to my audience, if you're not familiar with him, we're going to be speaking with the most prominent Cuban-American Twitch streamer of our time, Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II. Welcome back, Stephen.
Thanks for having me back on. What's up? Oh, I think your Discord might be using the incorrect microphone. Or it sounds like a webcam microphone.
Yeah, I think that is where you mean what you're hearing me through?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can change. I'm going to try changing something. Stand by.
Yeah, if you click user settings and go to...
oh, no, I know. It sometimes just comes through muffled. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, no, you're good to go.
Okay, good. And my audience can still hear me? Everybody can hear me still? Oh, no, my audience can no longer hear me. Oh, my audience can hear me. Okay, and you can still hear me, right, Stephen?
Yep, loud and clear, David.
Beautiful. Well, listen, I think that there's a lot of clearing the air here that needs to be done.
Okay.
Now, I do want to say, first and foremost, that since our last conversation, I have received dozens and dozens of emails, tweets, links to various Reddit threads, and I am not going to be sort of like addressing anything in particular in the sense that every sentiment was expressed, ranging from never waste your time with Destiny again, and Destiny should never waste his time with you again. Like the full gamut was the reaction of stuff from people.
The whole spectrum. Jeez.
Exactly.
All right.
So, I mean, I think tempers have sort of cooled off a little bit since the other day. Is that fair to say?
Well, I don't think I had a big temper at all, but sure. Yeah, what about it?
Well, let's not even get into that. And so let's not get into an argument as to whether tempers flared. Let's skip that argument altogether.
You don't want to get into a meta argument about the argument?
No,
okay,
let's see if we can avoid
a
3 layers removed argument at this point in time.
Gotcha.
I think that a lot of things were said.
Okay.
And I was not expecting that it would become a sort of point counterpoint thing. I don't know if you were expecting it.
I don't, I go into every conversation with no expectations. And then every conversation is just an absolute joy because I never know what to expect.
Oh, okay. All right. So like, I mean, in all seriousness, you felt good about the conversation?
Well, no, I thought it was a horrible conversation.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
All right. Okay, good. So it sounds like we're both on the same page about that.
That's good.
Now,
I mean, I would expect it for us to both feel that way. Yeah.
It would be easy, I think, to just explain away that the conversation was a disaster by each of us saying it was a disaster merely because the other person said XYZ, which I don't agree with, which I feel like would get us into the exact same circle.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe like I'm sort of happy to say, man, what am I even happy to say? I don't know that I'm happy to say anything. I'm trying to figure.
Wow. Not a single thing to be grateful for on the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
not one thing to be happy about.
I think that I mean, I guess, okay, let me do one thing where I can, let me at least clarify one thing. One thing that people did write to me, which I ended up feeling bad about because of how it was perceived, was when I asked if you were mildly autistic at the end of the conversation, there were 2 reactions that made me feel really bad. One was that people said, I was using that as an insult, but I would never, I mean, it's like saying I'm insulting people for being diabetic. I'm not going to, there's no laughing at medical conditions for me. It was not meant as an insult. It was not meant like anything like that. So if it came off that way, I want to apologize.
Sure. First of all, I don't do apologies. I don't care. Okay. But diabetic isn't the same thing, right?
It's stigmatized. That's the whole point. I mean, that's right. It's seen totally differently. But for me, it's like I wouldn't laugh at any medical condition.
Sure. But I think the issue with bringing up the autistic thing is it appears that you're trying to undermine everything that was previously said by pointing to something. So it would be the equivalent of me asking at the end, like, David, do you have a learning disability? Like, it would be like that type of thing. And then my goal is to impeach your character based upon the answers you give to that line of questioning. Right?
Fair. And so to the extent that that's how it came off, that was not my intention. And it may have been an inappropriately timed question. I will stipulate to that. But it was not a joke of any kind. And for me, autism is not funny.
Okay, gotcha.
Is that fair?
Right. Yeah, if you feel that way, yeah, I can. I'm not here to tell you how you can feel about things. So sure.
Okay. All right. Good.
Okay.
What else? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. In terms of other stuff, I guess I was, in one sense, I was a little bit surprised, and I don't know if it was surprised from the standpoint of positive or the standpoint of negative, that in the aftermath, people were linking me to quite literally multi-page, almost line-by-line analyses of the conversation we had, which I don't know if it's like, wow, people care enough about what was said that they took that much time to do it, or maybe some people are a little too wrapped up in our conversation, which at the end of the day is, I don't know how meaningful our conversation should be to just the people at large,
Well, I mean, I would hope that my conversations with people are pretty meaningful, because that's the whole reason I do what I do, is so that my words have meaning to the people that are listening, right? I think it's pretty fair to expect that people are going to try to find meaning in the conversations we have with others, no? As public figures, right?
Yeah, that seems fair. That seems fair. So you were not surprised at the amount of like analysis that was done?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, fair. All right. And I mean, listen, at the end of the day, now with the hindsight of the verdict was basically as expected. I mean, I thought that it was conceivable that there would be some guilties on the minor charges, but 2 of the minor charges didn't even make it to the jury. So I think you and I both agree that there was nothing surprising about the verdict. Is that fair?
Yeah, but I mean, the verdict was never really that's the boring part, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that if the verdict is different, it would be number one surprising. I don't know that Rittenhouse gets the hero welcome from Trump and Tucker and everybody if the verdict is different. I mean, I do think the verdict is meaningful.
I feel like the verdict is meaningless because I think it's more interesting. The interesting conversation was how the verdict was arrived at. It's kind of like saying, to use a charge example, black people tend to commit more crime in the United States than white people. Like, that fact isn't interesting. The interesting discussion is, well, why is that the case, right? Some people on the very far right will say culture, or very far right will say genetics. People on the left will say socioeconomic factors, environmental conditions. So like that argument is the more interesting part, not necessarily that factoid. So when we talk about like the verdict of the case, in my opinion, at least, whether or not he's innocent or guilty isn't the interesting part. The conversations are more like, if he was black, would he have made it to trial? Would the cops have killed him? Was the judge being fair? Like, was the prosecution being earnest? Could another person afford that defense? Like, I think these are the more interesting questions rather than just saying like, oh, well, here's the verdict, I think, in my opinion.
Do you feel like you got interesting answers to the more interesting questions?
Well, that's where all of my discussion has been to. Yeah, I've always told people that you should never be too invested in the verdict of a jury case. I mean, we can hope for things, but I mean, jury cases can go anyway, right? Either direction, we have no idea.
Fair. All right. So in terms of your coverage arc, are you moving on from that case, or are you going to continue doing content related to it?
I hope to move on. It already like has dominated so much of like the past like 2 weeks, I think, of what I've done because everybody's been talking about it. But I mean, I'm on to the next thing, right? What's
your reaction to the hero's welcome by Trump and stuff like that?
I mean, it's pretty cringe, but it's to be expected.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when people on the left like are pushing so hard in the other direction. I mean, it's more or less what I would expect. If one group of people is going to shit on somebody, then they're probably going to be welcomed by the other group of people.
That's interesting. So you believe he's been lionized by the right because he's been attacked by the left?
I think that plays into it. Now, it probably would have happened to some extent anyway. But I mean, if enough people are going to make somebody out to be a villain, you can find a group of people that'll make that same person out to be a hero.
I gotcha.
I think that both ends definitely play into that.
What was your thought on the Arbery verdict?
I didn't follow that trial, so I'm really hesitant to say anything on it. But I don't think anything was ever presented that would have made me think that should have gone any way differently. I don't believe that any of those 3 guys witnessed directly that person committing a crime. So I don't know if they had the right to chase him down and confront him to do their citizen's arrest or whatever. I don't think that 3 grown men, it didn't seem like he had a weapon or anything at the time, right? So there was no reason their life was in danger. So I don't know why like a gun would have been brought out. Everything for how those verdicts played out seemed to me like they probably should have been that way. But I say that cautiously because I didn't follow that trial or look at all the evidence for that. But these are just like the things that I've read, the snippets and everything I've read.
Why that one of the first things you said is interesting. Why were you so much more interested in the Rittenhouse trial rather than this one?
Because I thought that this trial was like pretty, it felt to me, and again, I'm very cautiously saying this because I didn't watch the trial, but it felt to me like this one was pretty obvious the whole time. You had like, there were 3 dudes in a truck. They saw a black guy jogging. They thought he was a fucking criminal, and then they chased him down, and they essentially ended up executing him in the street with a shotgun. That seems insane to me. It seems really bad. I could be wrong, but I don't think anybody was defending the 3 white guys. I don't think maybe there were a few crazies on the internet, but for the most part, it seemed like that they were like universally panned as like the bad guys.
Oh, that's interesting. In other words, you thought that the verdict was so much more obvious in this one that it was less interesting to you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The only thing I saw was like Tim Pool quibbling over like what a citizen's arrest was, but otherwise it seemed like nobody was going to go out to defend those guys.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Tim Pool, did you see this recent video where he was with Alex Jones in studio?
Probably not. I saw one where it was like Tim Pool, Alex Jones, and a bunch of people, Joe Rogan and stuff in some
in a trailer. Yeah, no, not that one. Yeah. I mean the one where he was like in Alex Jones' studio. He somehow manages to crowbar into the first 2 minutes 3 times that he has a girlfriend, which is so funny because I don't know if you saw that video like a year ago that had a very incel feel where he was saying like, I'm single,
didn't
and it's
know.
like clearly it's not me, so it's clearly everybody else.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I thought you were going to refer to there was some video where I think he talks about how he can go on Tinder for like 2 minutes and like pick up any girl he wants and blah, blah. And I was like, okay.
Oh
But
no, I
whatever.
didn't see that one. I didn't see that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
there's
it's
another
worth
one.
seeing. It's very interesting. He seems almost like smitten with Alex Jones. It's very interesting.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
other
he might
funny
be.
thing is Alex Jones seems to continue referring to him as a leftist, even on the thing. Like, here's a leftist I'm willing to have on.
Wait, who? Oh, he refers to Tim Pool as a leftist?
Yeah, although then he hedges by going, you're not even necessarily on the left. You're just sort of like a normal pro-freedom American or something like it's like very, very weird. The whole thing is weird. And I also don't know if you've noticed, but like when Alex Jones has a guest on and you see Alex Jones in the reaction shot, he seems very bored with what his guests are saying. Like he doesn't really seem to even pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, he's a character. I feel like there's this whole group of people that it became like a trend to not call yourself a conservative, even though you were a conservative in everything but name only. Like, I don't know if I would say Dave Rubin started that, but
He
definitely
kept
this
the
trend of,
I'm
like,
the
you know,
last
why I-
real liberal thing for a while.
yeah, or why I left the left, but
Yeah.
I'm not really a conservative, but you are in every single way. I don't know why people do this, but-
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Well, listen, I don't want to make this an if-pology day, but to the extent that I did anything wrong, notice I'm not saying to the extent that I offended anyone. To the extent that I did anything wrong, I do apologize to you and your audience for the other day.
Yeah, listen, we don't care about apologies here, David. All we care about is the love we have for each other, and nothing is going to overcome that, okay? My fellow Gusano in arms, all right?
Oh, God. Now, let me check in with you. Here's also one thing I wanted to mention. You know, I used to be banned on Twitch. I'm not anymore, so we're all in the clear. But right now, we're observing your stream with, I'm logged out. And there's a really interesting thing I'm looking at in the bottom left, which says, Destiny viewers also watch John Zherka, David Pacman, and something called Chud Logic. What are John Zherka and Chud Logic?
John is I can't really put in, that's kind of like asking me, like, what does acid feel like? I can't really put into words that stream. You just have to experience that for yourself. And then Chud Logic is a British, I think he does like kind of like political commentary stuff.
And are they on the left or the right?
John Zherka defies political spectrum analysis, and Chud Logic is probably like left, I'd say.
Huh. And then the other two that it says are like your viewers also watch, in addition to my show, is Aiko Rules and Xander Hall. Do those ring a bell?
Aiko Rules, I don't want to say anything mean about her because she's usually nice to people, but she seems a little insane left person. Xander Hall is, I don't know. He's a political person. He seems okay-ish.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm glad to be able to clear the air with you, and I'll PayPal you the money I agreed on a little bit later.
Okay.
And is it looking like you're going to be in LA in the second half of December, or what's it looking like?
Well, my lease is officially up on the 20th, so it'll depend on when you're here, but I don't even know if I'll be here. We'll see.
Oh my God. I get in, I think, on the 19th.
Oh, wow. I'm almost for sure not going to be here then.
And you're going to be in, oh, no, I get in the 17th.
Okay. Just highly unlikely then.
And when you think you'll be, are you saying where you will be, or?
I feel like I'll be gone in the first week of December, but we'll see, you know?
And you're heading down south?
Am I? Is Miami? Oh, yeah, of course, yes. Miami, I guess.
Okay.
It feels weird to say I live in LA and I'm going down south, but I guess, sure.
And are you saying whether you're doing like Miami proper or Miami Beach?
You know, I was going to do Miami Beach. You know, there's not a lot of units available to get anywhere, and stuff is really
Sorry, did you say
expensive.
there aren't eunuchs available?
Units available?
Like an
units
apartment
or-
unit. Oh my God. I
Yeah,
was like,
there's,
what did you do? What exactly are you doing down there? Yeah,
No, there's
okay.
an abundance of eunuchs. Like that wouldn't even make sense. Of course,
That wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's I think it's Miami proper, but I don't know. Yeah, but yeah.
And is
apartments,
Melina
everything
coming
got
with
so
us,
expensive.
or?
I would hope so, unless she hasn't told me something. But you know, she's kind of tied to me now because she's on a K1. So if she leaves me, she's kicked out of the country forever. So she's my slave.
Wait,
So
you
hold
guys
over.
are married?
Well, yeah, that's what the whole process we've been moving towards. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So you're legally married at this time.
Well, not legally married. She's here right now in a K1, and we have like 60 days to fill out the paperwork to get married.
Oh,
Otherwise,
okay.
yeah.
You know what would be really great if you know how sometimes you have to go to these meetings where they like want to make sure you're really a couple and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of this, like immigration officials.
Yeah, we've already done this.
Oh, yeah. It would be great if there's another meeting. If you bring a screenshot of when you guys were in Copenhagen streaming and there's like a table of people behind you and they're furiously staring at you, it would be great if you presented that as the evidence that you're really together to immigration officials. I would love that.
Wait, I totally don't understand.
Do you remember when you were in Copenhagen?
Oh, God, never mind. No. I understand now. Holy yikes. That was the most cringe moment I've ever streamed in my entire life. Oh, my God. Oh my God! Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's a historic moment in
was...
streaming. That's a historic moment in for me. That's when I committed to Twitch. After that, I was like, I need to be on this platform.
Jesus, that apparently the interview is really easy, or Melina said it was. Like they didn't like every time I read on the internet, they're like, oh, they might ask you crazy things, like like what is the favorite flavor of coffee creamer that this. But apparently they asked like 3 or 4 questions, like, oh, do you guys love each other? Are you chill? Like, oh, cool. And then it was like whatever. So
did you have to bring documents that you guys are like together for real?
Yeah, but I don't even know how much they mattered. But we had like, it was like a 50-page fucking thing of like our screenshots of our Instagram history, like photos where we've traveled and airplane. It's a whole bunch of shit. Do you have like a foreign wife or?
Do I? No. I'm foreign. Okay. I'm the foreign one.
Did you have to do this process?
No. I just signed up for a passport when I was 17 and that I got citizenship that way because my parents were already citizens at the time.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole different process. All right. Well, Stephen, listen, I'll check in with you.
I'll ask one more question. I'm curious because I just got home literally 4 hours ago and I'm streaming now. Is this a new variant? The new variant. Is it anything to be concerned about?
You mean Omicron?
Oh, is it Omicron? I thought they were going with new.
I guess they're going with Omicron.
Okay. Man, that's just a really scary name.
I know. The name doesn't bode well. Here's my take on it from looking at, what all various experts have been saying. It's called a variant of concern because we should be concerned, but it's not a variant of panic. We won't know for 2 weeks if it actually evades vaccines. And at this time, there's no evidence it's more deadly. It's like, you just got to wait,
Okay, sure. I don't know if I read this or if I'm making this in my head, but I thought I saw a headline that said that the United States is looking to ban all travel from African countries soon, in a week.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, I'll look for that.
Maybe
later.
South Africa, but I don't know.
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay. Oh, it was just South Africa. You're right. The United States will restrict from non-U.S. citizens from South Africa and 7 other countries starting Monday. So maybe some other African countries. But.
That's probably it. That sounds right. Yeah. I mean, listen, we just got to see what's going on. Did you get a 3rd dose?
I'm scheduled to, I think, in 2 days.
Oh, okay. And do you know what you're getting?
I signed up for the Moderna one because I think it's more.
Yeah, it's sort of like a. Like the prisoner's dilemma in game theory, where it's like, no matter what you think the other person's going to do, here's what you should do. Mm-hmm. With the vaccines, it's like, no matter what your first vaccine was, you should get the Moderna booster. That's like, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna say that I think the Moderna and the Pfizer shots are the same. It's just that the Moderna one was like 3 times the dose. So I think that's why the data has panned out better for it.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. I know it's more. I don't know about 3 times, but yeah.
I think it's 3 times because the Moderna booster is half the dose of the original shot, but I think it's still more than the Pfizer one.
Right.
But yeah, okay. Well,
all right, very good. Well, listen, good to check in. I'll be in touch, and with peace and love to the DGG community, and please stop posting about me in Destiny's subreddit. Okay.
Okay, I love you, buddy.
All right, talk to you soon. Thanks. Love you. Bye. All right, folks. There is Stephen, Kenneth, Destiny, Benel II. Great to check in with him and to clear the air. And a little bit later today, we are going to be chatting with Ian Vaush. Ian Vaush will be coming up a little bit later today. So please stand by for that. That's actually just about 10 minutes from now. So there's a lot going on today. I want to say thank you to Lobster Lover for signing up via Twitch Prime. We are unbanned from Twitch. Today is a great day to re-up your Twitch Prime subscription. I also want to say thanks to Bennett Dirkman, who just signed up on my website, joinpacman.com, and is new member number 18. And Nikita Cheney just signed up at joinpacman.com with the coupon code OBAMNA. And his new member number 19. I implore you, my friends, today is a great day to grab a Twitch Prime sub or to sign up on my website. Patreon pledges do count double today, and I would love for you to do that. JoyKit just signed up via Twitch Prime and is number 20. Thanks, JoyKit. JoyKit says 5 months. Try not to get banned again. Believe me, I'm making every effort. I'm making every effort not to get banned again. Okay. All right, good. Let's get to some voicemails. There are so many, and I want to see what we can do to work through some of them. Let's just kind of see what there is here.
Why are they even talking about this in court? Rosenbaum and Rittenhouse.
Okay, I'm going to try to skip Rittenhouse stuff. A lot of these are old, and like the trial's over, so I don't want to get us bogged down with this sort of stuff. Here's one about drone footage.
Hey, David, it's your boy, Matzo Ball Soup. Wanted to know if you had an official ruling when it comes to the warm calzones, and if you had a specific preference or recommendations when it comes to places that serve calzones or your preferred toppings and fillings.
I tend to like to go with a veggie calzone. I think artichokes, black olives, sliced, not whole olives. I mean, we're not savages, but sliced olives I think are good. I tend to be more of a veggie guy on the calzone standpoint.
David, Jimmy from Philly. Wiped. So my boy Johnny Doherty, that's the dude that I was referring to that moved from Philly to Washington Township. He wants to speak to you, David. I think he's going to send you a voicemail. Be looking for it. But as far as the Kyle trial, well, first of all, why am I still banned, shadow banned? What even is shadow banned, right?
Yeah, that's the next question.
So I think that a lot of the voices that were saying like not to get vaccinated, like the people who were really loud about, like you don't own me and like that kind of stuff, I feel like those voices are like kind of starting to like fizzle down though. And as
okay, I don't know about that. Let's see.
Hi, David. Sir, I'm curious about your opinion on something. Republicans in the past have often been accused of speaking particularly to each other.
I can barely hear that guy, and it's completely cranked up. Here's something from a Sam Cedar viewer.
David, sir, I am a whistleblower. It's been deep undercover as a Sam Cedar subscriber for years. And word's finally come down that he will be holding a insurrection of his own sorts on January 16th at the capital of David Pack.
Okay, it's not funny. It's not a good joke. It's just not funny. All right, let's see what else we've got. Let's see if we can get to something relevant here. Oh, by the way, if you're just joining us, we're going to be speaking to Vaush very, very soon.
Hey, David, it's Eric from Mass. You still haven't figured out this whole thing is fake yet, dude? I mean, they just want you to keep taking shots forever, hook you into a QR code.
More and more shorts.
Tell you what to buy and sell. Have this little card you walk around with so you can eat pizza when you want. They'll tell you when.
You're walking around with a piece of cod? That's weird. That's really strange. That's very strange.
Hey, David, what are your thoughts on...
The voicemail line is really collapsing.
Hey, David. Name's Casey from Alabama. I'm calling because even though I identify as a conservative for the most part, I do have some left-leaning progressive sympathies and a leftward stance on some issues. Thank you very much for all of your content because you have shown me a different side of many issues that I've never considered. However, one problem that I have with your show is that you seem to spend a lot of time talking about Trump. Trump has been out of office for several months now.
Yeah, we actually did the numbers on it, and there's relatively few Trump clips. So we've addressed it. The guy still owns the Republican Party. They're all praying at the altar of Trump. And I think last week it was like 150 clips, and there were like 4 Trump clips or something. We did the number at some point. I don't know what to tell you. We've dealt with that before.
Bailey and Frederick, David Peckman, first-time caller. I'd like to know why American Airlines are not requiring vaccination as a condition for flying domestically. It seems to me, even as a vaccinated person, if I'm sitting next to someone who's carrying, I'm going to catch it. Even we're both wearing masks, we keep the masks on the whole time. Again, I'm vaccinated. I think if I'm sitting next to somebody who's infected, I'm going to catch the COVID. And so I'm not willing to fly anymore until domestic airlines require vaccination pass.
I doubt that they are going to do that. Okay, I just don't believe they're going to do that. Here's let's see. Whenever I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 voicemails in a row from the same person, I'm always curious. Let's check it out.
Yes, David. This is Oz. I was just trying to tell you.
Oops. Okay. All right. Oz is off the wagon, and I am not. We're being really, really careful. Okay.
Hi, David. How are you? I love the show, and I think you're great. Anyways, I had a theory about Hassan Piker not responding to your calls. I think he's probably upset because you still talk to Destiny. He probably thinks you're on Team Destiny after all that Gusano stuff. But anyways, thanks for the great show.
It's not that Hassan is ignoring my calls. I sent him a message. Was it Twitter or Discord saying, hey, I'm going to be in LA. Let's get together. Let me go over and do, I can like weed your garden at the new house for you or something. And he didn't write back. So let's all relax. It's not that he's ignoring my calls. Let's see what else we've got here. We're going to be speaking to Vaush soon. Oh, in fact, let me send him a message. We are going to be speaking to Ian Vaush in a bit. Okay, stand by, everybody. I do want to say thanks to Geeks Nation and Dingleberry69 for the Twitch subs, numbers 21 and 22 today. Today's a great day to re-up your Twitch sub. It is a great day to do it. All right, let's listen to a few more of these voicemails while we stand by for our conversation with Vaush. See what else we've got here. A bunch of Thanksgiving messages. But I don't know that a lot of these are going to be great for you.
Hey, David, it's Nug. I just saw the Donor Show where Pat says he is going to go to Colombia for the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
It's too bad that the news didn't come sooner, since then Pedro from Colombia could have called in to give Pat some tips on what to do or eat,
Yeah, except we don't know where Pedro is even from. That's the thing. A lot of like Destiny attack voicemails, but in order to keep things going with him, I don't know that I'm going to play them.
Good day, David Packman, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. I got a nice happy Thanksgiving message from Jimmy from Philly. What else? We did have another one from Whitney, but we're gonna skip that for now. Yeah, just kind of a lot of mediocre voicemails, maybe because of the holiday weekend.
Hey, David, it's Eric from Mass. I know you must have missed this. I mean, probably just didn't see it or something, all this stuff going on. But can you do a story on Pfizer going to the courts and asking for a 55-year hold on the results of the trials for the COVID-19 gene therapy, vaccine?
Man, I never know what Eric is talking about. It's always very, very strange. Here's Vaush. Let's see what he's saying.
Popular for a long time, but I don't think it's really common for a game to be not popular in the sense that it's played for a really long time. But
okay. We'll let him do his thing, and then when he's ready to start, then we will get started.
Hey, David, it's Eric from Mass. You nailed it, dude. You're right. Who is Rittenhouse to talk about self-defense? That'd be like going to Michael Jordan or Larry Bird and asking about the NBA basketball.
My God. I want to say thanks to Bowflex Man and Youngo PX for the Twitch Prime subs, numbers 23 and 24. Let's do the following. Up until we start talking to Vaush, website memberships will count double if you use the coupon code OBAMNA.
Obama.
You can see it over my head, and it saves you 68%. And also, they will count double up until we start the conversation with Vaush, which is still, I guess, not happening quite yet. We're just going to listen to a couple more of your voicemails before we speak to Vaush. Let's see what else we've got.
But could they possibly just be listening to like dumb women because of their horniness or?
Oh my God. Okay, we're going to get away from that. Let's see what else we've got here.
Yeah, David, I'm from Wisconsin, and there are signs up all over Wisconsin that dumbass Donald Trump is running in 2024. Just thought you might want to know.
Oh no, the signs that say Trump 2024, they're not saying Trump is running. They're saying they want Trump to run. Yeah.
Hey, David, it's Matthew from Las Vegas. So I'm listening to the newest episode, and obviously we've been seeing what's happening in the world regarding the coronavirus and mandates. And as a Jew from South Florida now living in Las Vegas, could you maybe explain to me why the far-right extremists, the conspiratorial nutcases, and all these inhumane, insane people...
Oh, hold on a second. We're
people-
actually going to talk to Ian Vaush now. Hold on a second. Hello.
Hello yourself, David, the Pac-Man.
How
Happy
are
to be
you?
talking to you.
It's great to be on with you again.
Truly an honor. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. I, through a contrivance, got to see my family earlier in the month, so I didn't see them this time. We just
A contrivance? Is that legal?
It shouldn't be. I got baited into heading down to LA for a Jubilee appearance, but it turns out it got canceled after I booked the flight. So my parents are there anyway, so.
Oh, I see. Do you say where you're based regularly?
Oh, I'm in Seattle.
Oh, okay. Oh, so literally down the coast.
Yeah. Or up the
Gotcha.
coast.
Gotcha. And what are you on planes? Are you like doing full N95 or just like one of the cloth masks?
Just a rotating series of disposable masks. I never found a cloth one that looks good with a beard. I don't know if I ever could find one that looks good with a beard.
I
fucking hate
see.
these.
I see. Are you like,
Yeah.
when you're on a plane, do you feel like you're more at risk of catching it, or on a plane you feel safe?
Honestly, I don't feel that at risk on a plane because it's, airports and airplanes are one of the few institutions that actually seem to take seriously the whole wiping down every surface, that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I feel more at risk at like a grocery mart than I do on a plane, but that's just, I don't know, it's
That's
just my-
interesting. See, I have a bit of a different perspective. I mean, I don't feel too at risk on the plane, but not because they're wiping down surfaces, because it seems like that actually is not really how people are catching this. It's more just like you're near someone who has it and you're breathing the same air. But because of the very high efficacy air filtration and mandatory masks.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about the air filtration. They'd have to keep that standard up there. I
Yeah.
do still hate flying, though. Honestly, COVID is the least of my worries. I just hate heights. So it's just, I'm not a big fan, as for the concept.
Do you medicate on the flight?
No, I try not to. I know people who have to take Ambien or whatever, but I usually just stock up on audio, audiobooks I haven't listened to or podcasts or whatever the hell else, and just try to live through it.
I gotcha. Yeah. No, I know people who take sedatives when they fly, stuff like that.
Or they just drink. If in first class, right? They usually just give you wine. You can get enough of that. I mean, that might help.
Sure. Oh, are you flying in first class?
I've only flown in first class once. It was somebody else was paying for it, and I didn't like them, so I just went with first class and booked it to them.
That's
that was
a good
lot of
move.
fun.
That's a beautiful move.
Yeah, it's the only time I would afford myself that indulgence. If economy is good enough for Bernie, it's good enough for me.
Right. Well, I'm seeing pictures of him up front too, but I guess that's a story for a different day.
He varies a little bit, getting complacent in his old age.
Are you now on Thanksgiving? Are you do you eat turkey? Is that a big thing for you?
I know turkey's like the worst meat. No, no, well, okay, this time we just had mac and cheese. It was disgustingly rich mac and cheese. I got some tarts and some pies, you know. But normally no. I'm more of a stuffing bread roll pecan pie you know, food coma type of guy. What about you?
Yeah, I had some turkey. I mean, it's like, you know, it's always kind of dry and like you're really counting on, it's really about the quality of the gravy, quite frankly, that because the you know, turkey breast, it's like, it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, there's only so much you can do to zhuzh it up, I think. Who'd you celebrate with? Like,
With family.
okay, gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it was just me and my roommates. But
Oh,
you know,
okay.
the family, you know, very flexible term. Whoever you're with can be your family on Thanksgiving. It's the magic of the holiday.
Are your roommates sort of like, I'm guessing you're the most famous of the people you live with. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I guess so.
Are they resentful of your fame?
Maybe they would be if I made them pay rent, but honest to God, I feel like they're getting the good end of the deal on this one.
Oh, you pay for their rent.
That only seems fair, right? You know, like
I don't know.
proportionally.
I don't know what the circumstances are.
I would never. I'd feel like such an asshole, you know. Like, you know, oh yeah, you know, you've got this arrangement, that, and the other, and we're all going to split it 3 ways, and then I, you know, watch them like pull out the coins they've got buried in the back of their wallet to try to make rent. No,
Oh,
no,
do you own the place? Is that the situation?
no.
Oh, you don't.
No, we're all renting.
You're
Yeah.
all renting. Okay. Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see. You're not like
Yeah.
rent seeking or something like that.
No, as far as my audience knows, you know, we're all renting. I would never become a landlord. Wouldn't. Yeah.
As
Can't-
far
can't
as
let-
my
can't let them
audience
catch me.
knows. Okay, I gotcha. Very, very good. We'll check the property records later and determine exactly the arrangement there.
Oh, yeah. Just try to catch me.
Okay, good. Well, so on the flying thing, I did want to ask: do you not like the discomfort of it, or is it you're worried the plane will crash?
I think it's shifted more with time because when I was younger, I was just terrified of crashing.
Mhm.
And I still don't like that, you know. But now I think the physical discomfort is the worst bit by far.
Okay.
The seats are so tiny, and I'm a decently big guy, you know.
Oh, is that right? How tall a guy are you?
I'm 6'2", and I've got wide hips, so they bridge up against the little armrests like on the sides, but you can't lift them if you're next to a stranger, of course.
Oh, I
So
had no idea you were 6'2", because in the infamous picture of you sitting next to Stephen, Kenneth, Destiny, Bennell II, you guys are sitting down, and it's hard to tell relative size.
Yeah, and you know, out of respect, I try to like, you know, lean down a little bit, like, you know,
Yeah.
stoop my
You're
shoulders,
slouching
right?
down
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to not impress people too. Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's good. That's polite.
Yeah. It's just common etiquette, I think.
I think so.
The last flight, before we talk about anything serious, the last flight that I had was utterly miserable. I had a headache the duration of the return flight, but the woman directly in front of me, this older lady who didn't speak English, only Spanish, and she actually had like a medical emergency. She couldn't breathe that well, so you know they brought out the oxygen tank. They did the whole "is there a doctor on board" thing,
Mhm.
and I actually, with a headache, got to like have 40 minutes of people swarming next to me, like elbowing me in the side of the head as they shuffle around the woman directly in front. She was fine. You know.
Now, when they ask for a doctor on a plane, I wonder if people stand up and say, "I'm a doctor, but I mean, I'm a doctor in sociology," or in that context, is it known that they only want a medical doctor?
You know, I'm actually really proud of my flight guests because it seems like every one of them got the connotation. You know,
They knew
not
they
one of
wanted a
them
medical doctor.
And not one of them stood up and was like, "Yeah, you know, I've got a doctorate in mathematics."
Right.
And, this shit's whack. So I'm proud of them. Maybe the next flight though.
It's funny because there, everybody knows exactly what they're looking for. My dad has had situations where he actually is a doctor, but a psychiatrist, and he'll wait because he knows when they're asking for a doctor, they'd rather it not be a psychiatrist. So he'll usually wait. But then if it's like nobody steps forward, then he'll be like, "I'm a doctor." Okay.
Yeah, because that's better than nothing.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
It's better than
yeah,
nothing.
that's you're still definitely a few steps up above the average person.
Sure. I mean,
You've
it
got
is a medical
EMTs
doctor,
or-
but you know, yeah.
Yeah, but you could probably like, I don't know, look at people's eyeballs and get something from that, their state of being, how they're feeling. I don't know. It's something.
Well,
What would I
his
know?
thing was very simple. It was someone was having a food allergic reaction of some kind, and they had. So you don't really see shrimp that often on planes, but they had shrimp, and then it was like, oh, I think I might be allergic to shrimp, and my dad just had to say,
Time to find out.
do
Jesus.
you guys have Benadryl in your like medical kit? And they were like, yeah. And he was like, I'd probably give him a Benadryl. I don't know. And then the guy was fine.
Okay, well, good thing it didn't require one of those EpiPens.
Right,
That'd be-
exactly.
Yeah.
So
What a
listen,
time
what
to
are we
crush.
talking about today?
Oh, my as my resident favorite liberal, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about Rittenhouse.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I mean, you covered the trial, obviously. All the trial that I saw was through your stream. so
Beautiful.
I
I know you were in there leaving very powerful super chats.
Yeah. And you were there very powerfully leaving the stream for hours at a time collecting revenue.
Well, I did
while,
have
don't
work
know,
to do. I had to
running off.
plan my next show, you know?
Well, not all live streamers have that privilege. I actually have to. I rush back from the bathroom after peeing
Okay.
to keep viewers, but no.
Fair.
Okay, so as for the legal outcome, I get it. I understand where that all came from. Morally, still don't think that she should have been there. I don't think that's a
She
controversial
who?
take. He. Oh, sorry. I've read so many memes about Rittenhouse transitioning to own the libs. It's affecting me. But I've seen how that all went. Have you had the pleasure of seeing the Tucker Carlson interview?
Yes, I have.
What did you think of that?
Well, I mean, listen. Oh God. So I feel like I have to issue 10 disclaimers. Like the opinion I'm going to give has nothing to do with the verdict. I get the verdict. It's the verdict I expected, etc. So like I'm just going to talk about the interview as an interview. I thought it was part of the predictable lionization and making a hero out of the guy. I mean, that's if you want my one line analysis, it's that. I did think it was interesting when he says, I support Black Lives Matter. A lot has been made of that was a calculated lie. He doesn't really support them, or he'd very narrowly said, I support their right to demonstrate, and that it was like, I don't know, okay, he said he supports Black Lives Matter. It might well be true. It wasn't like the most interesting part of it for me. But for me, it was like, the beginning of the very predictable hero tour where then he met with Trump and they did the pictures with the thumbs up and the whole thing. It's just part of the whole media tour.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've been seeing a lot of mixed reactions online because I know there were a ton of conservatives who wanted Rittenhouse to be this like ride or die angel of MAGA conservatism, where he'd go up there and he'd screech like, let's go Brandon, and Tucker Carlson do the okay sign, and then like, talk about trans bathroom, some insanely
Yeah.
partisan shit. When I was watching the interview, he came off most to me like a really like partisan Republican, like talking points you'd hear from like a a pundit when talking about self-defense and the trial specifically.
Oh, I
But on
agree.
other stuff,
The moment specific, sorry to interrupt, the moment where I knew this was like so calculated and coached, and it's okay to be coached. I'm not saying it's bad. Being prepared for an interview, okay, was where he started to say, it's the moment where he says the trial wasn't about Kyle Rittenhouse. It was about self-defense. And then he says, if I was guilty, no one would be able. And then he goes, no. He goes, no one would be privileged. And it's like, that's the
Ever
language
defend
his
yourself in the
lawyer
country.
used. That's the language
Yeah.
his lawyer used,
I feel like that was absolutely, where the Soviet spy conditioning kicked in or whatever, where he was most trying to deliver a point. Because I felt like in contrast, the rest of the interview, he came off relatively measured. I'm not here singing his praises or anything. I'm not saying he, came off like a hero of the revolution, but oh God, hold on. There we go.
Oh my
Sheesh,
God.
coffee.
What was that? That sounded like a gerbil.
No, it's coffee. I have cinnamon on top. It
Okay,
adds
okay.
texture to
Okay,
my
got it.
throat. But not to sing his praises or anything like that. But for the rest of it, it felt to me like he was sort of passively rejecting a lot of the stuff that I would expect him to cash in on.
Mhm.
He said that the left and the right had both exploited him for political gain over the course of the trial. He seems to be uninterested in these showboaty, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, Gassar attempts at getting him as some kind of staffer. And that's interesting to me, because I feel like a lot of people on the right were let down. They wanted him to be the emblem of everything they've been screeching about for the past 18 months.
I totally agree with that. And I thought, again, whether it was calculated or not, I actually think that he, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much you looked at the online sphere in reaction, and there were a lot of people furious about his BLM comment, and a lot of people who didn't think he was, quote, tough enough when given the opportunity to send a message to Joe Biden or whatever the case may be. But there was a lot of that stuff where it seems like the perspective is just kind of say something to appease anyone who wants to be appeased, because the people who want to be mad will be mad either way.
Yeah, for sure. Because the advice that I've given at this point is that, at least to my audience, you can't take any of this seriously anymore. If you take it seriously, like if you take it with great gravitas, oh, Rittenhouse, this, that, or the other, you come off like a sore loser. Now, Rittenhouse himself acknowledged that if he was black, he might not have been given the same prosecutorial privileges that he was given being a white guy, which I thought was interesting. But I feel like now that we're like on the other side of the verdict, it's irresponsible, because I've seen this somewhere in online spaces, to go, oh, well, he only got off because of white supremacy or because of this, that, or the other. Because you can't really substantiate that stuff directly, even though it's sociologically omnipresent, and it makes you come off like like a sore loser, like oh, well, you only won because you cheated. How do you feel about that?
I have not. I don't know that I mentioned white supremacy during the trial, other than the controversy over the picture, which was not admitted as evidence. But have people been saying after the fact that the verdict is a result of white supremacy? I didn't even hear that.
I don't think through official sources, more just like people getting angry on Twitter, a couple of viral tweets, stuff like that.
Oh.
I think because if a conservative sees that, right? I mean, it must be pretty reaffirming, like Rittenhouse wins and then the left engages in behavior that to them reinforces the idea that the left will call anything racist if they don't like the outcome. Same with the stuff with the the interview with Tucker Carlson. I think it's quite funny, this ideological dissonance, I think, between the party and Rittenhouse's behavior post verdict. But if you look into it too hard, I feel like you're opening yourself up for a lot of disappointment. I'm just kind of hoping that something really funny happens in the future. Like he gets into a beef with some conservative, like prominent conservative, who says that he's not living up to their expectation. I think that'd be very funny.
Yeah, or I mean, there's always the chance that well, you remember the George Zimmerman Trayvon Martin case?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When that was done, it was pretty obvious that this was not the end of Zimmerman's legal troubles, and indeed it wasn't. With Rittenhouse, I actually do think now he seems to be better advised. He actually may stay out of trouble indefinitely. Whereas with Zimmerman, it seemed like the guy was so out of control that it was bound to get, and he had a domestic violence issue and some other issue. I actually don't know that that's likely to happen with Rittenhouse.
Yeah, I think I agree. I would be very surprised if he ever does anything like that again, Not because I think he's undergone this gigantic ideological shift. He just doesn't seem to me like the kind of person who's predisposed towards violence, I guess I could say. Like it seems, at least from his behavior, maybe that's how he's shaped up since then, that whatever decision making led him to go and do his vigilante bit over at Kenosha was more or less circumstantial, that he's not going to be like gunning for the next opportunity. I could be wrong, but I think that's true. I don't think he's going to get any easy shots in like that.
No, I think if in a few months or in a couple years, there's another similar event in some other, Antioch, Illinois, or wherever, some equivalent place that's driving distance from where he is, I would be surprised if he chooses to show up to guard a business with an AR-15, quite frankly.
Yeah, Rittenhouse, the Rittenhouse inning 2. I don't think I'm ready for that one. I think I need a bit of a break. I'm interested in seeing how things go. I mean, best case scenario is that he stays out of stuff and just lives a regular life from now on, which, I think would be ideal. But obviously the talking points from the trial will remain. I know you don't do debates as often, I guess, as I do, but when you see conservatives say, like the liberal media lied about this, that, or the other, what do you say to that? Like, what talking points do you have? How do you plan to address that, what will probably be years of accusations of bias?
Right now, I've not talked to anyone who has really asked me to address that. I mean, my audience knows I basically don't watch corporate media other than specific things that I plan to talk about on my show. And I also don't even really remember the coverage from the beginning of it. So, I mean, if it becomes an omnipresent thing, to use your term, I will have to think about that. But I just don't even, I don't know. I mean, it's just not a conversation I've even had up to this time.
Okay, that's fair.
To go back to the
that-
white supremacy thing, though, to go back a little bit, because I didn't want to get away from that immediately. The issue I have with that is you can always say that on some level that's the explanation, and it's essentially an indefeasible argument. And I'm reminded of there's this like a local story that a couple people I know were involved in related to an art show. And the idea was like, hey, we're going to have an art show, but in order to prevent possible bias on the basis of the identity of the artists, everything will be blind judged. So nobody will know the identity of the artists. Great. And then there was, without getting into the exact details, there was like a reaction about the rankings for the pieces of art where people started saying, even though it was blind, you had a jury in the art show that was all white, and that's reflected in their choices. And then later it came out, actually, most of the art jury were minorities. So it wasn't actually that. And then the next argument became, well, but they were privileged minorities, and one of them went to Harvard. And so their perspective is still emblematic. So it's like, well, you're never going to be satisfied that it was anything other than that. And it seems sort of like a similar thing to what you're talking about.
Right. Completely non-falsifiable. I think there are times where you can make that argument fairly. Like, for example, the Ahmaud Arbery case, the police not charging until public pressure mounted.
Yes.
I am very comfortable saying that, I can't say, any one of the cops are like Klan members or nothing, nothing particularly direct, but that absolutely feels like something which warrants a criticism along those lines. But you could apply it anything, anywhere, anytime, and you see people applying it in instances where it's entirely unwarranted. If it's non-falsifiable, you have to have a really good way of using it, or a really good reason to use it. Otherwise, you could just sort of throw it out there blindly. Like for instance, I mean, we've kind of seen the opposite a little bit. I think conservatives are really interested in getting kind of like a comeuppance to the Ahmaud Arbery verdict. That Wisconsin, is it being called a terror attack when they drove into that?
Well, I think the right is definitely calling it that, although I mean, it may be the right term for it.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know what developments have been made on potential motive. I know the driver was a black guy, and I've been seeing people, at least, people in my comment section or response, they were like, well, what are you going to talk about this black guy that killed these white people? So I think that they're looking to invoke kind of the opposite. Remember after George Floyd was murdered, there was that 5-year-old white kid who was killed by that random black guy. It wasn't racially motivated. It was
Yes.
Yeah, and they were like, where is the justice for this 5-year-old white kid? What, you care about Floyd but not about this? And it was just like, the guy was caught, he's going to jail forever, nobody was defending him,
Right, that was the difference. That was the difference at the time, which is it was just there's no chance that anybody's getting away with anything here.
Yeah, so there's nothing really to protest. I mean, it's horrible, of course.
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
I feel like so much of the discourse these days concerning criminal justice and race relations is really just waiting for the next highly publicized murder and seeing how the discourse evolves around it. It feels like the discourse never evolves unless it's being catalyzed by some horrible random act of violence.
Now, along those lines, the things that I have been more, you know, it's like there's, I don't know how much you're aware, but like, for example, the community around Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell II has taken issue with my perspective on the Rittenhouse trial, and some others anecdotally have. And I've continued to say, for me, it looks like the facts point to totally plausible self-defense as an argument, and I expect not guilty. For me, the bigger concern here is that this is all part of the unique American gun culture, where guns are seen as a sort of totally normal and sensible way to solve problems, and that this event in principle was not really problematic with all the people carrying the, you know, like the parenting. Can you imagine what would have happened if, when I was 16 or 17, any of my parents had gotten hold that I was thinking of even going to such an event, never mind going armed, never mind, you know, I'm going to go protect a business. Like, there's so many other layers to this, you know?
Yeah. No. I completely agree. The issue, and I think Legal Eagle put out a great video that talks about this, is that self-defense is not even close to being a good metric for responsible social behavior, where sometimes you have situations where a group of people can act somewhat irresponsibly, and you have an escalated series of self-defense killings until the last man standing is the one that gets the not guilty verdict. You can't, the idea that something is self-defense or like justified self-defense is not in any way like a holistic moral exoneration of their behavior. Especially with, I mean, you get cases like this sometimes. There was one that I saw where I think it was a gas station attendant was being robbed at gunpoint, and the gas station attendant actually disarmed the robber and pointed the gun back at the robber. And then a passing police officer who saw through the window one man pointing a gun at the other shot the gas station guy. You know, if you're in a movie theater, one person starts shooting, the second person shoots in self-defense. Now there are two people shooting. Yeah, it gets really tough to judge these situations. And that's why I hate the whole vigilante mob violence response, you know, just marauding through the nighttime streets as rioters and looters sort of gallivant around. Like, this is, you're maximizing the likelihood of violence here. It's not about protection. It doesn't protect anything.
Agreed, yeah. And I don't know if you remember that. I mean, when you mentioned the movie theater, I'm guessing you're alluding to the Aurora Batman movie theater incident, right?
Yeah, in that, but I mean broadly too. Like, just imagine being in that situation, then you hear like gunshots coming from either side of the room. Like,
right. Well, I guess my point was going to be, at the time, I don't know if you remember, there were people saying the problem is that the movie theaters are gun-free zones and there weren't armed people there. And then you say, well, hold on a second. You're saying if there had been additional shooters in the dark theater, it would have been better. And then they usually will retreat to, well, no, if it's known that it's not a gun-free zone, the shooter wouldn't have attempted this there in the first place, which seems to completely ignore that a lot of these public shooting incidents are not people thinking clearly in that way anyway, you know?
They're going there to die. A lot of these people expect to be suicided by cops. They're not going to be deterred by the knowledge that 1 in 100 people might have brought their Glock to a Batman screening.
Right.
I really agree though about the sort of the sociological implications, because if you want to take like a really depersonalized stance, I think that Rittenhouse ultimately is a victim of a lot of social tendencies. Yeah, here in the States, gun culture being a huge part, you know, the obsession with, and this is like a long-standing conservative thing, you know, racial protests are leading to violence in the streets. Our civilization is being destabilized. We need strong people out there with guns. This narrative has been around since before the civil rights movement, but it always ends in violence. It's possible to believe that too, with not a drop of racism in your body. You know, you can believe that totally race neutrally, but it's a way of getting sometimes non-racist people in line with sort of the systemic, you know, white supremacist tendency. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I wonder, I mean, the problem is that when you say what's the full conclusion to this, it's everybody would be safest if just everybody had a gun. And unfortunately, like under the paradigm we have in which people can obtain firearms and all of the specifics, that only leads to a lot of people who currently don't have guns and have violent impulses having the same impulses plus the guns in more situations. And so they see the logical conclusion as once everybody's armed, no one would ever shoot anybody because everybody's armed and you'll end up getting shot. But it's like they already know they're likely to end up getting shot and it doesn't deter them now.
Yeah, they clearly don't. I was I was actually present at a shooting once, you know.
Oh, really?
At Santa Monica College back in 20, I don't know, something 13. There was a shooting there at the library just outside of it while I was further in, and the guy came there, I think, to be suicided by cop. That's always how this ends, right? They very rarely get captured alive. The whole an armed society is a polite society thing is absolute bullshit. It's mathematically disprovable. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge proponent of gun rights. I have 6 guns just off to my right now. But there's a huge difference between gun ownership and gun culture. And the gun culture thing, the idea that guns are like this, valuable weapon of, social righteousness. They're an extension of your masculinity. They'll solve any problem. You will be attacked every day of your life if you're not armed. That bullshit, that paranoid fear-mongering, that's, I think, the critical issue. The Swiss have plenty of guns in their households, but they're all, ex-military training, kept clean, stored up in the attic type deals.
Well, it's quite simple. If you ask the Swiss, do you see guns as maybe being the way to solve a social, political, or interpersonal problem? The answer would be almost 100% no. Whereas if you poll people in the US, and there was recently a poll done here, more general, it didn't say guns, but it said violence. But I'm sure if you repeated the poll with guns, a lot more people in the US believe that at least on some of those interpersonal, political, or social, guns are a valid way to solve that problem. So you take that perspective among some people and you combine it with a ton of guns, it's not shocking what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, or people who think that having a gun in your house will make you safer. It won't, mathematically. You're not going to stop a burglar or a robber or whatever. That's not going to happen. Or people who think open carry makes communities safer. Or people think concealed carry is like you'll be mugged like every other week. It's nonsense. But people believe this down in their gut. I mean, down to their core. I'll just say, by the way, because otherwise my commie friends, they'll get mad at me. The big thing that I advocate for with regards to guns is I know that we've got a ton of guns in this country, and I know a ton of them are held by people with whom I share tremendous political disagreements. And if things get bad in this country, really destabilized, 20, 50 years, I don't know, whatever in the future, I would think it nice if relatively progressive city communities were armed and not just the right-wing militias that would start patrolling the streets the moment they got the chance,
Yeah. My audience knows, like I've said before, I don't really talk about my gun ownership or lack thereof, or I just don't see any real advantage to making it a personal thing. But I've said that over the last few years, many of my progressive friends have started legally arming themselves. And the reason they cite is, I don't want the right-wingers having all the guns or being the only ones with guns. That's the number one reason they cite. Many of them don't particularly like shooting guns. They're not target practice people. They don't believe that in terms of armed robberies or whatever, they're going to be statistically safer but they say, if we play this out and the right is the only political side that's armed, that seems bad. And that's the number one reason they are pursuing firearm ownership.
Totally agree. I think that's a really honorable reason, If you don't want it in the house because you feel like you got like a mental health risk or anything like that, like you could keep it with a friend. It's just that I think the broader deterrent is valuable. Will some lunatic with an AR-15 refrain from shooting up a Denny's because 6 of the people in there might be concealed carrying? Probably not.
Right.
But if an entire city is generally known to be full of gun owners, somewhere in their house, will that maybe deter potential destabilizing militia action? Maybe it could. I don't know. Possibly. We have to have something, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. But I agree with you that at the individual crime level, at least right now, it doesn't seem to be a factor that's taken into consideration when people decide about committing particular crimes. Now, that being said, I do think it's relevant, I guess, to mention that I don't think that there's much advantage to Democrats at essentially any level of talking about guns and gun safety, because it seems to only hurt them in any election that I've seen. I'm curious what you think about that. I'm not a Democrat. I don't know to what extent you even care about Democrats winning particular elections, but it seems to me that Democrats talking about guns makes it a voting issue for the right to come out and say, we've got to protect our gun rights by voting against this person.
Yes, I really wish they would shut up. Please, God, Beto O'Rourke is the last thing we need. There are so many independents, libertarians, and even moderate Republicans who are generally decent people who are terrified of the government taking their guns. There is no reason to keep biting this bullet. You don't even have to go big pro-gun. Just shut up about it. I
Just
don't
don't
think
talk about it.
Democrats. Yeah, Democrats aren't going to not vote for Biden if Biden doesn't really talk about the guns, you know? Just lay off, you know, some simple, I support our Second Amendment rights. Then shut up about it. It's insane to me. It's borderline like they want to lose. There are so many people that are practically Second Amendment hardliners. I just don't know why anyone would waste political capital on this. And it never even comes to anything. What gun regulations have we had meaningfully in this country? The last big one was the bump stock ban. But like, really? There are hundreds of millions of guns. We're never going to ban all of those. What point is there in even trying?
I agree. And I even mentioned this in the context of Beto running and the clip from the Democratic debate in 2020, right? He just ran. I mean, it feels like so long ago. I guess it was 2020 where he was asked, wait, so are you saying you would like take people's AR-15s and AK-47s? And he like pauses and says, yes. And it's like, that's not going to help him in running for governor in Texas at all.
No, in Texas, of all places. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a branding thing. I'm not that afraid of guns, you know, because the attitudes that make people dangerous when they hold guns are dangerous when they're not holding them either way, you know, the paranoid,
but they're able to do more damage if they are holding guns.
Oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. The guns do not help. But with hundreds of millions of guns in the country, I'm not like holding my breath for a total removal. You know, maybe if we were Japan and we had like no guns in the country, this would be a different talking point. But like, you know, if you have your average like QAnon nut, they're probably going to hurt me not through some sporadic shooting in a theater. They're probably going to hurt me by voting for politicians that are going to, I don't know, criminalize being gay or whatever.
Do the Q people even vote? I mean, that's a different question, but
they have to with Marjorie Taylor Greene types in the Republican Party. I feel like they've got to be at least somewhat invigorated.
Yeah, that's probably true. I guess we'll see in 2022. I mean, the thing is, a lot of them are in safe red districts anyway. So even without like the Q contingent, they'll still win.
That's true. Yeah. Though you know, they'll in the primaries, you know, they'll vote in the crazier reds. I think it's really a shame how the hardliner Republicans are evangelical boomers who will like vote. They like put, you know, on their calendar, they'll mark off the voting day. But the hardline lefties in this country are all like Bodega, you know, Kropotkin readers who believe in anti-electoralism and won't even get out of bed for like voting out Trump. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have a sense of whether like, okay, so in 2022, a bunch of them will get reelected just because they're in safe districts, and there's a few additional Q people that are running in 22. But like, if Trump doesn't run in 24, do you think that this like Q Trump movement just goes away, or do they become integrated into the Republican Party the way the Tea Party did?
I think it becomes fully integrated. I mean, even if Trump did something spectacularly bad, they've made, you know, JFK Jr. like a legacy movement member in spite of him never having anything to do with anything, right? Because like the attitude doesn't go away. Republicans, the politicians, I mean, I feel like they're terrified of their voters. There was recently those that whistleblower from Facebook who said that at least in Europe, I mean, the info was from Europe, but I think this is universally applicable. There were far right political parties who moved further to the right to match the increasingly radical views of their constituencies. So I feel like the snowball's rolling down the hill at that point. You know, you can take DeSantis to take up the torch if you want, but unfortunately, I think we're going to need some kind of reconstruction tier social realignment to really fix this.
Yeah, speaking of which, I mean, for people in my audience who may not know, you are an actual bona fide socialist, not, you know, someone wrongly called a socialist. How is the fight for socialism going in your mind?
Why would you ask me that? You know what I'm going. Why would you do that? Uh, Look, the primary goal of any socialist, first and foremost, should be anti-fascism. Lenin allied with social democrat groups to fight against the fascists, the Thousand Knives in Russia. Mao stopped fighting with the conservatives to fight off Japan back in the 1930s. And they weren't even good socialists like me. I think that the goal, the black hundreds, not the thousands, thank you. The goal first and foremost is, I think right now, dealing with the Republican Party. And I think you can do that in ways which are more or less advantageous for, I guess my long-term ideological goals. But to be honest, we're not really in a position to build anything right now outside of maybe the little spattering of a labor movement we've got presently. I guess we can kindle that little fire, like that little match light, to keep the wind from blowing it out. Apart from that, though, just keeping this country from spiraling into nothing would be a good good place to
That's
start.
interesting to me, because my perception of you is you're not really like a tanky socialist in a very particular sense. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I was talking to my dad the other day, and I don't know if you know, but like I'm from Argentina. My parents grew up in Argentina in the 60s, 70s, where there was like the equivalent to the current tanky movement. They loved Fidel Castro and so on and so forth. And one of the things I was talking to my dad about was this contingent in the left now that sometimes sort of almost sounds right wing, like without naming anybody in particular. Like they often like authoritarians like Putin and Castro and others. They, whatever, the full kind of like package of the thing. And what my dad said was, for him, this is such an old playbook. It's the exact same thing that he was seeing among the Argentinian tanky left in the late 60s and early 70s, that it's not a new thing. It's that there's always been this contingent of the so-called left. And he was close to that. Like in Argentina, he was part of like a Jew, what was called a Jewish socialist movement. And it was very different than the people who like the Russian and all the different stuff. What's your are you part of that group, or what's your perception of that group? It seems to me that you're not part of that group.
Well, I feel like I'm trying to think of the most measured way of putting this. I feel like a lot of people are looking for a kind of social rebirth. That people, when they're desperate or when they don't have much going for them, they're looking for some kind of direct, meaningful movement that they think will radically change everything they don't like about the world.
Okay.
And those people are usually tankies or fascists. Where I'm not. This isn't an argument against revolutionary action, but rather it's this. They need this. They have an emotional attachment to this. Epigenesis, this massive social revival. But then there are people who approach their political project in I guess what I'd consider to be a more decentralized way, where it's not really about the direct attachment to that process or its outcomes, but about the principles that you try to meet on your way there. Historically, in every major socialist revolution, you've seen these two groups fight and one of them win, and it's almost always the authoritarians. After Lenin won, the worker councils, which he relied on for the first 18 or so months of the Soviet Union, were quickly disbanded, their members killed or sent to Siberia. In Mao's China, you had a similar situation. The students were weaponized against the teachers, and all the old guard were killed off, and then eventually the students were sent off to the farms. This happens time and time again. It's deeply unfortunate, and I think the ultimate issue is that it's just way easier to be authoritarian. It's so much easier. It's way easier. You get a military together, you entrust everything to a glorious leader, and you trust them to enact these principles, but this just doesn't work. It's the reason why sometimes I come off a little bit less, I guess, revolutionary than other people who believe in such a thing. I think you need to lay the right groundwork. You have to make sure the material conditions are ripe. The working class needs to be the agent of its own emancipation, with revolutionaries only being a tool to be used by the working class. If you do the opposite, where the working class is a tool to be used by the revolutionaries, you get a repeat of 100 years of failed socialism. They're just an angry mob to be weaponized until you can appoint a new elite caste of political agents.
Yeah, I mean, in our last conversation, and I'm getting the sense now, you believe in a more, I guess what we would call a gradual transition to the system you believe is the ideal system.
Yeah.
Rather than a revolutionary transition.
My guess is we're not really going to have a choice. This is my guess. I don't know this, of course, but I think climate change is going to get bad enough that we're going to deal with economic downturn, resource, shortages, and climate refugees, and that this is going to lead to enough destabilization that America and a bunch of other countries are going to have like internal crises over what to do. And at that point, it's either going to be like some kind of fascist government or something more radical, more left-leaning. I think at that point, we're not going to have a choice. Like, things are going to get really bad there. So for me, it's just about laying the bricks until you reach that point.
You're not like a CIA or anything, right?
Not to my knowledge, as many times I've been accused of such.
Okay, couple other things I wanted to ask you. Hold on, do you know, so who is Mr. Beast and what did he do in the last 48 hours that people are going crazy about?
He's a big YouTuber, a very big one, a kind of philanthropic. He reinvests a lot of his money into the projects that he does. Like we're all stranded on an island, person to find this treasure gets $1 billion or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's made a recreation of Squid Game. Have you seen Squid Game?
I'm aware of it.
You should see it. It's good. He's recreating it. He built all the sets,
Oh,
to
really?
his means.
Like in real life?
Yeah. It got 400 or so people. I don't think they're, spoilers, I don't think they're killing the people brought on board.
Okay.
The way they did in the show proper, but I could be wrong. I actually haven't seen it.
Okay, all right. It's actually something worth being aware of.
Oh yeah. Oh, Squid Game was lovely. I really, really enjoyed it.
I just mean this whole Mr. Beast version of it.
Probably. I've seen screenshots and I've seen little video clips, and I'm probably going to watch it either today or tomorrow because it does look pretty funny. It's actually going to be the first Mr. Beast video I've ever seen. So
okay, fair.
New to me.
Now, here's the other thing. As a socialist, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on a debate I was having with my audience earlier, and I think you're going to be uniquely positioned to weigh in on this. Do you believe that Tesla's inexperience with building vehicles is going to slowly allow legacy companies like Audi, Porsche, and Mercedes to chip away at Tesla's electric vehicle market share by virtue of simply being better at building nice cars?
Unironically, yes, absolutely. I recently watched a video, which linked to a few articles, talking about how Tesla's cars are not particularly well designed or well priced. Tesla is unique mostly in making them cool. I don't think that Elon Musk is a competent businessman outside of the marketing element. I think that in terms of actually like a sustainable, long-term functioning product, he over-prioritizes glitz and glam and under-prioritizes like long-term, sensible investment.
Wow.
And I think very little of the man. But no, really, like electric cars have been around for what, nearly a century? And there are cheaper and better electric cars in the market. They're just not Teslas. I think that once the hype wears off, and it will eventually, nothing like this stays around forever. I think other companies are going to surge back and they're going to be able to sort of scavenge the clout that Tesla's carved out.
I tend to agree. I am both an owner of stock and of a vehicle. And I am going to slowly start disassociating from the stock slowly, bit by bit. And I'm looking very strong. I mean, here's the thing. Here's what makes it very inconvenient to have any non-Tesla electric vehicle right now. The range of Teslas is still the best, and the fast charging network makes it really difficult to do long trips with any other vehicle.
Yeah, it's the infrastructure you lay down. If you're the first one to really capture or corner the market, you can edge other people out and force them, to. So hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully we could. Oh man, can you imagine if there was legislation on that so that like all
Right.
the Tesla charging stations were retrofitted so that they're universally usable?
Yeah, I
It's
mean
not like you have
the
gas
problem is
stations that
then
only
a
work
lot
with
of
one
them have
car company.
a lot of them only have 8 to 12 stalls. Then there's not an if they were open. I'm not saying don't do it. I think that would allow me to much more easily look at other types of electric vehicles because I know I could use the fast charger, but those fast chargers would be permanently full if they were open to every electric vehicle. It's just the reality.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm a big advocate for public transport. It's not really relevant to this convo because you and I probably aren't going to be taking buses everywhere, but I guess that'd be kind of nice long term. I feel like the dream would be that you could have this kind of thing at your house, wouldn't it? I mean, every house has an electric, current running to it. If there was some way to like commercially be like, here for $150, here's an install you can get. There's a cord that like plugs out through the garage. You just pull it out, and there you go. You're charging.
Well, they do, I mean that basically exists. It's a little more than I mean, listen, I don't know how much we want to get into this, but if you just have a regular plug without having any electrical work done, you get a cable with your car and you can charge it. The thing is, it'll only charge like 4 to 5 miles per hour, which is very slow. You can then put in like a dryer plug, a 240 volt. That'll get you like 35, 40 miles per hour. And that's what I have, but you got to pay an electrician to put that in, unless you're going to run it all the way up to wherever your dryer is, But I think the bigger issue is when traveling away from home.
Yeah, yeah, that tracks. I think, I mean, the goal would be that we would only use these cars in, short distance travel, I think, right? At
Sure.
least when I think of like a good sustainable electric infrastructure future, you have your car for like picking up groceries in the city, but if you want to travel like far, you've got robust train or subway networks, and then when
Agreed.
you get there, there are local options. I think that'd be quite nice.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in practical terms, we just don't have that. If you want to go, if you're in New York City and you want to go to, as I recently did, a wedding in Maine, maybe you could take a train, but it might take 30 hours because you've got to go to maybe Montreal first. I don't even know how you would do it. Obviously, that's lacking right now.
Yeah. Well, we can always dream of the future.
Sure.
There are a few channels I'm really, really fond of. Adam something does a couple of videos making fun of Tesla and Elon Musk in reasonable ways. I mean, critiquing the technology, and Not Just a Bikes talks about sustainable infrastructure. And I love both of them very much. European cities are so wonderfully designed compared to our own, so livable. It's one of the reasons I like Seattle. There are portions of Seattle where everyone's always walking, not because there's no parking, but more so because there's such a robust mix of residential and commercial zoning that there's always something interesting to do in the area.
Speaking of Seattle, by the way, I don't know how devastating this was to you. I'm guessing that up until recently, you were likely the biggest Seattle-based YouTuber, but with the arrival of J. Kenji Lopez Alt in Seattle, who has, I believe, one of the best YouTube channels in the cooking space, I think that may have knocked you down a peg. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, it's good for me. If I can ever sort of find my way on set during a recording, or throw a rock through the window, try to like get my name on it. It opens up opportunities for clout sharking on my part that I'm really looking forward to.
Wait, am I even wrong on that? Is Kenji in Portland, Oregon? Now I don't remember. I know he's up in the Pacific Northwest somewhere. What I said may have been completely wrong. Now I'm not even
Oh,
sure.
I don't even know who you're referring to. I was
Even
just,
better.
I was yes-anding.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm just working with it. The only cooking YouTubers that I've enjoyed are Binging with Babish and that one big corporate one that everyone stopped watching because there were accusations of racism from the manager. God, what was that called?
Oh, I don't know that one. I don't know.
Bon Appetit. And
Oh,
then
okay.
they all split off and made their own YouTube channels.
No,
'cause
my
everyone got-
favorites are
Anyway,
Kenji and Jacques Pepin.
Jacques Pepin?
Yeah.
That is a Frenchman, I assume.
It is indeed, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, he's
I'll-
Cuban. Would you believe that?
Well,
No, I'm
if it
kidding.
came from you, yeah. If it came from a less reputable source, though, you gotta watch yourself. I'll believe anything you say.
No, he is French. I believe he's from Lyon or something like that. And also Toon Toon for Thai cooking. You can't beat Toon Toon.
Jeez, you're getting me cultured over here.
Yeah.
I'm really more of a chicken nuggies guy myself, so We're branching out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Do you not cook for your tenants either? I'm sorry, roommates.
Okay. I work and I pay the rent. Okay, these assholes can cook from time to time.
Fair.
No, we really don't make that much. We get those what do you call them? HelloFresh.
Yeah.
With like 12 meals a week, split between the three of us. You know.
Oh, nice.
And those are really good, by the way. I was taken away because they deliver it and then it's like in a box for a bit. I thought it'd be like so. Some of the meals that I've had there are legitimately some of the best food I've ever had. I can't promote them now though because apparently they did some union busting recently. So
wow, I didn't hear about that.
Everyone ignore what yeah.
Are you for or against spatchcocking when you do a chicken on the grill?
Spatchcocking.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to help me. Give me a brief description.
It's basically you butterfly the chicken to make it the same thickness throughout in order to have even cooking.
Yes, you have to cut it down. Also, the best cut of chicken, okay, is about a half an inch. Okay, you cut it in half. You smash the chicken a half an inch deep. That's the perfect chicken cut right there.
A half inch deep.
Like the thickness is about a half an inch. Once you've flattened or butterflied the chicken breast, right?
Oh, you're talking about chicken breast.
Oh, are you talking about thighs?
I'm talking about the entire chicken.
Oh, I see. No, I've never hammered an entire chicken down into a pasty.
No. You don't need a hammer. You don't need a hammer at all. Listen. I'm going to leave you to investigating spatchcocking, and I'm sure you'll have a strong position on it by the next time we talk.
Oh, I'm sure. I'll learn. I'll give it a shot. I'll share my success or failure story with you.
But your idea of just smashing a full chicken into a paste is an interesting one. I've never considered it, but I might.
It's how owls eat things. Okay,
Okay.
Just sort of grind it up into a little pellet. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for taking the time.
Ian Vaush, a gentleman and a scholar. Great to speak to you as always.
David Manpack Packman.
All
You
right.
take care. Enjoy the stream, and I'll talk to you eventually.
All right, very good. Take care. There it is, folks. World-renowned streamer Ian Vaush. Very good. Take care.
There you go. That was quite nice, I think. I feel like we had a pleasant conversation there. You cut him off? No, he cut out. He was speaking to... No, I didn't cut him off. He quit mid-sentence.
my
He was
God.
talking to his audience there.
I didn't mean to.
Excuse me.
All right, very good. Excellent, guys. What a stream. It's been an incredible day. I want to say thanks to Sam the Sleazebag, El Schnarfen, and Stace Face for the Twitch Prime subs. Welcome to all of our new viewers. We're going to be back at it on Monday. All right, guys, Monday. Thanks for joining me on the rare Black Friday stream. And we'll see everybody very soon.